It's a very good idea. That's what poetry is made of. That's a good idea.
The language of poetry. Words used by poets to describe an object seen, or a sound, a smell. Words that create images and evoke the imagination. For the past several years, students in the high school program at the Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf have benefited from an infusion of poetry in the language arts curriculum. Poets in residence have provided very real and personal insights into the way poets transform ordinary language into images that stimulate and develop our sensibilities. WPSD classroom experiences with poet Susan Jacobson were documented in the first videotape program in this series. Recently, poet and master teacher Dr. Robert Panara completed a 2-week residency at the school. Dr. Panara is a professor emeritus of English and drama at the National Technical Institute for the Deaf at Rochester Institute of Technology, former chairman of the English department at Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C., and the author of numerous published poems and articles. Dr. Panara was the first deaf person to join the NTID staff. Now, let's join him in a WPSD classroom and enjoy with the students his unique ability to enhance our perceptions of poetic imagery.
I like to see it up the mouth and lick the valleys up and stop to feed itself our tanks and then throw dizziest step around a pile of mountains, then supercilious pier at shanties by the sides of road, and then a quarry pair.
The poet's use of figurative language to stir the imagination and draw fresh comparisons through simile and metaphor is the basis for many classroom discussions. Mrs. Sanios' class of 10th graders encounter some unusual descriptive details in the poetry of Emily Dickinson.
Like bow and earthy, and punctual as a star, stop, docile and omnipotent at its own stable door. You read that poem, studied it. You looked up the more difficult words in the poem. But remember, I told you, always use the dictionary. Make it a habit, especially when reading poetry or doing cross-word puzzles, both about the same time. Now, what do you think this is about? Often poets give you some idea of the meaning with their title. In this poem, title is same as the first line. Now, have any idea what the poem's about? A horse. What? What? How do you pronounce that?
Me, I don't know.
Nay.
Nay.
Nay,
Right. Paul talked about what?
he's talking about horse. There's a name in here. How does the horse neigh? How?
Very loud, I guess.
And mouth was open, okay. That's our one idea of the poem. Anyone else have an idea what the poem's about? When you talk about, I like to say it, laugh, the mouth. Who's the fat person here? Because of, that's a good answer. I understand 3 runs track, 100 yard dash, what else? That's all. That's a lot. Many laughs. All right, that's the second idea. And now the third line. And stop to feed itself at tanks. And the horse feed itself at tanks. Yeah, go the grass. What is that tank? That's one tank. One meaning. What's another meaning for a tank? What's the army? Anyone else know? Again, say that.
Eat bone into one gummy.
Curl the stomach, a tank. Good. Not exactly the answer, but that's very creative. You could write a poem about that. I filled my tank. I had an empty tank down here. Very good idea. That's what poetry is made of. Imagination. Good idea. Okay, let's see a while. The next line. And then, stop. What's the word prodigious mean? How would you do that? You don't have to stand up or it may make believe use of your leg. What have you do? You stop it now. Make a big stop. Stop. Where?
On the mouth.
And the word Quran, what's the word? What's the word? Now make it. Now, the horse make big stop around mountain. Maybe a giant horse. Maybe. Let's continue with the iPhone. Emily Dickinson silences the reader always. And she was writing more than 100 years ago, but she was way ahead of her time. And we read the next 2 lines. And supercilious pear. How do you pronounce first? Prodigious, how do you pronounce it? Put it on board. You like to do that with the diacritical mark. And also supercilious.
Prodigious. 3 syllables. Prodigious. Prodigious. Better. Good. 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 Prodigious. Prodigious. Good. It's 3 sounds. Say it. 3 sounds. Better. Okay. Good. Supercilious. 5 sounds. 5 syllables. Oh, that was good. Okay. Very good. Supercilious. Better.
Thank you. A reason why. Please, remember I told you before again and again and always, so we have a song for poetry. Poetry. Why? It's like music. Has a rhythm. Has a beat. And that's why it's important often to try to say the words while you read the poem. Say it to yourself. Nobody's around. Listen to the sound of the words. Also, another reason. So 2 words very important to meaning of the poem, as we will see later on. What means supercilious? What? Proud. If you're proud, sometimes you're also snobbish. By the side of a road. Now, your horse may do that around a pile of mountains, and supercilious pear at shanties by the side of road, and then Emily Dickinson, I told you, was way ahead of her time. While many poets that time, 1850, 1860, 1870, then 100 years ago, were writing stanzas with a period at the end of 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, period. Another stanza. 1, 2, 3, 4, period. Emily Dickinson, different. A liberal, a woman's liberal. And she would have this line run on to this line. So you have to read. So read now. And then a quarry. What's a quarry? Quarry. Have you ever seen a quarry? What? Well, what's the shape usually? Okay. Flat. Another, have you seen the quarry?
Maybe old statue.
Old statue. I've never seen a place where they have a truck. When they go to fill up the truck with a lot of stones for lime, the truck goes to a quarry. Now, where does it come from? The stones, the rocks, from the earth. Has to come from where? Have to dig way down. So it leaves a big. Have you seen the quarry? Oh, rock. Like sometimes you drive Pennsylvania, turn the pike, right? And the road goes like that. And it says the sign, be careful of falling the rock. What you see on both sides, what do you see? How high does it go? Almost. Probably it was like a quarry, or they made a road through it. Now, a quarry, pair. If you pair something, what do you do? If you pair, pear, apple, pear. A quarry, pair, two fit its side. And the corral between. What do that? The quarry. Between. Complaining of the wild. How is the complaint high? It complains a horror. What's a horror? With fear. Not another word. Terrible. Again. Hooding. What? Who?
The person.
Person.
No. Oh,
I didn't say that.
no.
I was hood. Horse. First society seems to make a horse because the animal got nutty. Now who's awful who's complaining? Who. Then start itself downhill. Oh. Now what? Traces itself downhill. Rock. Do a rock go hoo. Traces of the horse itself. Something must be connected with itself. And it itself, important word. Must be made up in 2 or 3 parts to trace itself, right? Trace itself down here. Can't tell you anyway. Trace itself down here. Then seems to slow down. Then nay. Like full energy. That is what we call a reference. Allusion to probably was a horse that time, was a famous race on horse. Full energy. Also in the Bible. Christ talked about John, who was a preacher. John, and he had a very powerful voice. He used to preach. It was called the Son of Thunder. Voice like thunder. And it was called Bow and Erdreed. So Emily Dickinson said, must be very loud. Nay. And stop. Daughter. I mean the word daughter. Look up that word. Easy taught, all right. And like easy trained, right. Easy trained, good. Good. Easy tamed. Easy tamed. Docile. And omnipotent.
Bao nhiêu bữa? Mà
Docile and omnipotent, so powerful. Its own stable door. No, I have no idea. Horse seems a stable. And nay, the mouth seems. Now let's see exactly what kind of a horse. Okay. I like to see it at the mouth and lick the bellies up. Then stop to feed yourself our tank. And then throw this with us. Stop. Round the pile of mountain. And then a quarry pad. To fit its size. And crawl between. Complaining all the while in Howard hooting scandal. And then chase itself downhill. Boom, 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 boom. And then, nay, like bow and archery. Nay. Stop. Punctual like a star. Still docile. But omnipotent. At its own stable door. Punctual as a star. Well, it's comparison. Punctual means. Good. Perfect. Arrive at the same time. The train always on time. Following the schedule. Back the star. The North Star's always there, right? Yeah. I would say, a horse. Have you ever heard an old term for a locomotive? An old expression. What a kind of horse we often call a locomotive. It's an old expression, not used much anymore. Sometimes I use it to compare a person with that kind of What's the locomotive before made of? What? What? You use the word. Or another word. Iron horse. Iron horse. Have any of you heard that expression? Do you have any questions? You. Good. Any other questions? Well, I will tell you, that's what the poet tried to do. Using, quote, comparison, metaphor. The whole poem is one long metaphor. Comparing, what? What? Compare this and that. So you explain it well. Compare two things, what?
120
Right. Compare the horse and the train. Remember the term iron, horse. That's all expression, but it's still useful. Remember, when I was young, my favorite baseball player was Lou Gehrig of the New York Yankees, one of the best hitters, first baseman in history. He played 2,167 games straight, never absent. Nobody ever did that. Oh, he was hurt, he was sick, but he still played every day for many, many years. Newspaper writers called him the Iron Horse. But when he was 38 years old, he was sick with very rare cancer and had to stop, and 2 years later died, so very young.
In another classroom, Dr. Panara shares the famous poem Invictus with a group of 12th graders and their teacher, Mrs. Stewart.
Invictus. We gave you that poem to study, and you read the poem. We signed that poem first. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever God there be for my unconquerable soul. In the foul clutch of circumstance, I have not winced or cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of sense, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, but still the menace of the years finds and will find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul. Now, title, Invictus. Does that word have any meaning to you? Invictus.
Can't be beaten.
Now can you find any words in the poem that related to that idea, quote?
Unconquerable.
How you signed that? You just said it before.
unbeaten, unconquered.
Yes. Can't be beaten. Invictus. The word is from Latin. Invictus means, quote, unconquered. Unconquered. And we have an English word from that, and we say, you are invincible, invincible. Means nobody can beat you. Who is invincible today in the world of the sport?
Pounding.
Well, for a woman to know that quickly, right? He hasn't been beaten yet. A good point, very good. Now we read the poem. Is the poem and any meaning to you, any special meaning? How you relate to that poem? What you would think is the big idea of that poem?
I think that seems like someone was beaten by someone and did not feel strong about it, like he was a Jewish in concentration camp.
What? He was beaten, but...
Still strong inside.
And what's the title of the poem?
Invictus.
It means...
Unbeaten.
So what did that Jewish person continue to do? What?
Be stubborn.
Continue to live, right? What's another word? If a plane crashes but several people still live, what do we call those people? Paradise. Survivor. They survived. You still living. Survivors, living, right, good answers, okay. We think that's good for the big idea of the poem, very good. Can you find any words or phrases in the poem that maybe try to describe who is speaking that poem? Quote, the speaker, person talking. Find some words in the poem. He's talking about how that person has experienced suffering and things like that. Let's find some words in the poem. A cub, exactly. Like maybe way back in the time of knights on horses. If the lance broke, what they use next, a sword. If the sword breaks, they still have one more thing, bosun. What is armor? They're using that as a symbol for, like you said, maybe person in concentration camp was beaten, and beaten so badly that was he bloody, firm, bloody, under the bosunings of sands. My head is bloody, but unbowed. What's it mean? Unbowed. How you find that with your hand? Good. Do it again. Yeah, that's a very important word. It fits in with the title, Invictus, and with my unconquerable soul. Fits in. Now we see how the words relate to the title and to the meaning of the poem. That's very good figure of speech. My head is bloody, but unbowed. Now let's look at these sounds again. In the second stanza, the third and fourth lines, under the buzz, I lost my mouth, under the bludgeonings of sense, my head is blooded, but unbowed. Have you ever heard anything make you think of anything? What did you say again?
Be.
And what is it? What? Be, make you think of what? Poetic use. What is the word? You remember?
Rhyme.
Rhyme at the end. What other? If you have us, would that start with the same letter? B. Remember? A. Rhythm. Well, say, my head is bloody, but unbowed, that's rhythm, meter. But but, again and again. Yeah, we have a word for that in poetry called alliteration. I saw you something. Say that line, the first sentence, the. All right, now what sounds sound the same? What letters? How many times? 2. Say it again. When you say see, say again cold, can. Say k. See now after that. What? What did they do to you? After that. You do it to him. Okay, now you K like K, C like K, K. Almost talking. That alliteration, the poet tries hard to make sounds of certain words represent exactly the experience that he or she had. Like under Tulsa, bang, the buzzings of sense. My head is bloody, but unbowed. See that? That's marvelous. It goes with the idea. Remember, we talked about the hop. That should always be in your heart. When we study poetry, the hop. Well, give a picture of that. The hop.
different senses,
Well, name them.
tasting,
Mm-mm.
hearing, seeing, feeling. One.
Okay, good. If something in the poem influences your sense experience of hearing, like B, 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 think that string is plucked. Go, I never thought of that before. My head is bloody, but unbowed, things like that. That's a marvelous thing in poetry, always. Now, it matters not how straight the gate means his life still has a way to go through life, no matter how narrow, how hard, how charged with punishments the scroll, what do you think I mean? How charged more and more with punishments the scroll, what's the scroll?
Like body.
Good idea, come on. Right. We have laws and we have punishments in life and we have sufferings in the book of life. Right. Forgot the idea. The scroll, he's using all figures of speech. The scroll, the book of life. No matter how many punishments I must still experience in life, no matter how many punishments, sufferings, I am the master of my fate. What's the fate? Like something happening in the future. My fate. I am the captain of my soul. Well, what's an idea? What's the idea? If you say to a person, I am the captain of my soul, what do you mean to say? What? You're a spirit. I mean, if you are a leader, then captain, what's the symbol of the captain? Leadership, okay.
I believe about my food. You have new about.
That's that. Now, do you think those two lines, again, sign with me, you sign with me. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. You think of any people Or maybe your own life experience, your own life that is little connected with this idea of invictus. Can you think of anything about yourself? Well, anything else? Okay, about you and your brother. Well, you and your brother have in common what?
Ethics.
Nah, connected with this.
Nothing will change our relationship. Then with that, no one can change it.
And, are you afraid to be deaf? You think a handicap is something that conquers you?
No. I don't think that's not handicap. It'll be the same as people.
Last Gallaudet University had a big student demonstration, remember? And they picked a deaf president, and what did he say? Quote, famous quote. Good. Deaf people can do anything except hear. Wonderful quote. And then goes with this. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Now you think of famous or people in history, or you read about a person who you could say that's a good example. Can you name some woman or man in newspapers, magazines, who had a strong faith, believed in something, and was unconquered? Followed his goal. Can you think of any?
Helen Keller believed in her education, and now she's deaf and blind. She went on with her education to learn more.
Beautiful, beautiful example. She was a great woman, Helen Keller, right? What? And General MacArthur, perfect, Captain, General. I am the general of my soul and of the American military. I shall return. Remember that? Marvelous. And he did.
I think of last weekend with the Pittsburgh Marathon, with the people that were in wheelchairs that decided to enter the race, and how wonderful they have overcome some of their handicaps.
Yeah, marvelous. That was a good point.
The poet's enthusiasm for poetic expression is contagious. Teachers find new incentive to include poetry in their language arts program. Mr. Hartnett, a WPSD teacher, introduces his 12th grade students to a poem written by a contemporary Irish poet. But first, he reviews the vocabulary, much of which is unfamiliar and not easily clarified within the context of the poem.
It's an easy one. Monk, right? It's like a priest who wears like the brown robes. That was perfect. It's like a priest who wears the brown robes. In the poem, there are two words that you should know the meanings of. But in this poem, they have different meanings. So when I read the poem, I want you guys to try to decide what they mean specifically here. Okay? The poet dreams and resolves to be alone and not be lonely, to have time to myself and not be bored, to live in some house suburban beside the mountains with an adequate supply of stout and spirits, or of stout only, and some cigarettes and writing paper, and a little cheap food, and a small hoard of necessary books, where I could write in dark as monks did, with only blue sky as interference, wind as a soul reaper. But what would I do if on certain nights I was mad in heat for the public lights? I would chain myself to a living tree to foil the sirens of the distant city. Okay? Those two words that I mentioned before. The first is stout. Okay? Stout. What do you think that means? No. How did I? Beer. Yeah. Okay. It's like an Irish or an English beer. Okay. And spirits, as it's used here. What does that mean? No, not spirits here. That's the first meaning. That's one you already knew. Can't hear you.
Whiskey.
Right. Whiskey. Okay? I'm going to give each of you one of the poems just to look at for now. Okay? Okay? How do you think the poet likes to be? He likes to drink beer and whiskey. How does he like to live? Okay, live alone. How do you know that? Okay, it describes about being alone in the forest and right in the dark. He likes to be alone. Okay, that's right. What were you going to say? Okay. But, okay, he drinks beer and he writes on the paper by himself. But, do you think that sometimes he is tempted to go to the bars? Raymond? Maybe he wants to be relaxed and think about himself. That's right, he does want to be relaxed. But, it says here, what would I do if on certain nights I was mad in heat for the public light? He doesn't like the wild, oh, the crowd. He doesn't like, how do you know that? He doesn't like to be suffocated and sweating a lot and bumped into. Raymond. Some people insult him because he is like a monk. That could be. It's a good idea, right? Okay. Now, but you're getting close to the right idea. Okay, the first part, the talk, was talking about being alone. But here now, he's thinking, maybe he gets the idea. Now remember, he's by himself in the woods. Maybe he's getting the idea he wants to see some, a beautiful girl or something. So what does he do? Okay? Does he go to the city or does he stay in the country? He stays in the country. Okay? Now, how does he stay? What does he do to make himself stay? Read it. Chain himself to a tree. Stand up and show me what that means. Stand up. Yeah, go ahead, let's explain it. Yeah. Right, he would chain himself to a tree so he would not meet the temptation. Okay? He'd just be stuck to the tree. What does the poet consider necessary? Steve? Books. Why do you think books are necessary? Right. So your mind won't be lonely, you won't be bored. Good answers, you two. What else does he consider necessary? Yeah, books. What else? Well, he is relaxed, yes, but he mentions some things that he considers necessary. What? You told me books, writing paper, beer. What? Well, he already said books. Okay, he mentioned beer and cigarettes. Okay. Do you guys think he would watch a lot of TV? Why not, Gene? Okay, he doesn't have TV. Why do you say that, Renee? Could be. Maybe there's no electricity. Right. No, that's right. He probably doesn't have electricity. He probably spends all of his time on the telephone, right? No? Why not? Okay, he doesn't have electricity in his favor. It is to write. Good. Do you guys think that you would like to live that way? No? Never? No friends, nothing to do for enjoyment. You want to have a lot of enjoyment. Why, you want to go downtown, huh? You don't want to live like that either. You must watch TV during baseball games or football games. You're interested in sports. Okay, Renee? Okay, nobody to communicate with. Okay, you want to have fun. For homework, I want you to read the poem again, maybe 3 or 4 times. Okay? And then just think about that poem that you read. And then write it in your own words. How you feel after reading the poem.
The 7th graders in Karen Biddle's class regularly write poems and record them in their poetry diaries. In this next class, we observe how the teacher's awareness of her students' writing potential is linked with Dr. Panara's special ability to dramatize poetry. The resulting team teaching model provides motivation and enrichment for teacher and student alike.
Then moved on. Good. And say I can make poetry become like a movie. Pictures, paint pictures in the air. I think now you appreciate a poem like that, we will try some other poem. Title: Dreams. Dreams. That poem, Dreams, was written by Langston Hughes, black man, a black poet, who wrote many, many fine poems. Many poems make you think about life and things like that. Quote, dreams. Hold fast to dreams. For when dreams die, life is like a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, because when dreams go, life is like frozen field covered with snow. How do you think the poem, what's in the poem is related with the title? What things in the title make you think of the meaning? Dreaming. What? Dreaming. What is there about dreaming? What's the big idea in the poem? Why? That's good comparison, right? Yeah. Why is it important to hold on to your dreams? What else? When we talk about dreams, what kind of a dream you think he means? 5. Getting closer. Wish now, what's something you wish?
Go to college.
Good. What's a strong dream you have that you want to become? You want to run a business, become a rich woman. M-A-S-A. And do what? That's a great idea. What's that? Explain. He said he wants to hit the lottery. Dreams are related to, quote, goals. Goals. What, how you sign the goals? Again, goals. You have them. Goals in life. That's very important. You want to hold on to. Like in his poem, the idea is to hold fast to dreams. There are different dreams people have in life. You have all kinds of dreams, I think.
Dr. Panara. Hearing Dr. Panara talk about dreams made me think of a story that we just read in reading class. Does anyone remember who that woman is? Remember? Perhaps not her name, which was Zora Neale Hurston. But do you remember what she really liked to do? Read books. When did her mother die? At what age? 9 years old. That's very young. Young Zora Neale Hurston was a fine example of a young girl who had a dream. And she didn't care that she did not have enough money for school. She did not have many relatives to support her. She still held to her dream. She tried very hard to get an education, and she refused to give up. That's what hold fast means. So when I saw Dr. Panara explaining that poem to you, I couldn't forget that wonderful story we had in reading class. And I really enjoyed hearing you tell Dr. Panara about your dreams. When we have goals, we also need to start making plans, to think, what can I do to make my goal become true? And that's hard work. We need patience. We have to think ahead. But I can think of a different kind of dream that does not require hard work. You've heard your teachers say many times, stop daydreaming. Pay attention. What does daydreaming mean? Julius?
Think about fun.
Think about the girls, think about fun. Anything else? Can you give me examples of daydreaming? Ron? You dreamed that there would be no school? And Michelle? All right, you might dream that you lived in a different state. That would be a good, where would you like to live? Nevada. Do you have any more dreams? Jamie? You would like to travel all over the world. Daydreams can even be silly. They can be weird. We could say, if I were the sun, I would shine only on Saturdays. Or, I wish the rivers were soda pop and all of the snow became ice cream. Can you think of any funny, weird dreams that you might have? Jamie? We'd like to roller skate on in the jungle. Roller skating through the jungle. Well, that would be an experience. I've thought about roller skating in WPSD's hallways, but I would not be allowed. Do you have any other dreams?
Feeling our house in the sky.
Very good. Very good. Julius would like to build a house in the sky.
We can, but it could be an imagination.
That's right. You have given us the perfect meaning of a daydream. You can't, but it's nice to think about it. Now we're talking about poetry, and you have given me so many wonderful ideas. I would like to show you how we can shape your ideas into a poem. You remember, Dr. Panara told you this week that we can use repetition in a poem, and it makes it sound very nice. Let's watch. If the rivers were you tell me, help me to finish that sentence. If the rivers were what, Ron? If the rivers were clean, you would drink how many gallons? 50 gallons. Can you think of anything else? If the rivers were Pepsi, I would drink how much?
A quarter gallon.
A quarter gallon. All right, let's think of another if idea to go with our poem. If the snow was what? It is white. It is white, so we wouldn't use that. What kind of if the snow was ice cream, I would make a cone that is how many feet high?
The record feet.
The record feet, how many do you think that would be?
30 feet.
30 feet high. Let's read this together and see how it sounds. So sign with me. If the rivers were Pepsi, I would drink a quart or a gallon. If the snow was ice cream, I would make a cone that was 30 feet high. Very good. Now I would like you to go back to your desk and try to write a poem with your fantasies. Think about your daydreams. I think that you can write a poem that's much better than that one. Please go back to your desk and start writing. you have a wonderful idea. Please read it to me.
If I build a house in the sky, I will not have to buy any shoes. The house will have been clean every time I get out of the house.
That's good. You've made a good start.
Good imagination, yeah. I love it.
Throughout Dr. Panara's residency, all of the students wrote poetry. They valued his opinion and liked having him recognize their efforts.
Autumn, falling leaves, quiet places, cold weather, animals are desperate, no more singing, heavy mysterious clouds, white flakes were coming.
Good. I like that. And there's something special about the way she wrote and designed that poem. The shape, very interesting. Quote, autumn, when leaves fall or rust. Very interesting. That's exactly what happens with the hand. When you do that, maybe do it twice. Extenuate that. Let's say you do it slowly. And for the last line, you say, and white flakes coming, but really, snow doesn't come this way, except if the wind blows it. So we say this for a good picture, for effect. White flakes coming. Oh, another way. Well, two flakes, maybe few flakes. White flakes coming. Please try it.
White flakes coming. White flakes coming.
Vừa hàm đi, cho làm ăn bên, đi hòa làm ăn mà, đi bao vừa hàm đi, đi chăm quan thân biết gần, khi mà cần em trong văn các bạn cùng đi chân chăm man sao khăn cái đừng cái phương vì hàm bi cái phương mà man phương là hay bằng cái tí hàng cười đi.
Good confidence. Marvelous poem. Good pictures. Good situation about sitting on the bed as you often do. Who will I be? Very good to come down. And as besides taking care of small, gentle animals, and we can add cat. Rabbit, fire, and you come down near the end, and you say, my mind is blurred, not able to think clear who I could be.
mạnh khỏe đại bình tĩnh của hàm kỳ.
Blackness, Walter, 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 it's a plant, it's a plant, and that's plant of Walter, top Walker, top has life, a twin tank clear, a bountiful and colorful as a rainbow. Those that are bumping out of it all day. I couldn't sleep all night with a beautiful face.
Beautiful image there. Oh. White. Oh. Shimmering. The moon. Try that. Yeah, try that. Yeah, try that.
Well, living.
Well, I know how you feel. I lost my favorite dog, Bob, 17 years old, died very sad still after 1 year. I know how you feel. Lovely poem. I can think of one or two things maybe you could keep the cat in your hand sometimes. So cute and small. White fur, like, what's this mean? Rabbit, your son. Oh, horse. Rabbit. Like it will be near your hand. If you move your hands up, you have to get apart from the cat. Cute like a rabbit. Ed idea. My cat's name is C. Casper. The cat, C. Casper. See that? Try to do that. You've been studying comparison, quote, S-I-M, similes. How many you find in that poem? 3. They shot the pot like bullets. Boom. They shouted like prods. They fought like was. For that much. Because if you were playing hockey, wow, you really fought. Boom. See what I mean? For bang. Those fighters with more brother. Boom!
I've asked Dr. Panara and our interpreter, Diana Saunders, to join me to discuss some of the questions which have arisen during the residency. Dr. Panara, in the classrooms, you used both a literal, word-for-word presentation of a poem, and then often presented it again using a combination of the language of signs and mime. What values are there in both types of presentation?
Well, using first approach a literal presentation, the value is that I am trying to follow the close reading of the poem, trying to use, quote, signed English, so that they say almost every word as printed, as shown on the transparency. And it's the same idea as what we call getting close to the subject, keeping the eye on the object at all times. Sun mime presentation is a combination of language of signs, trying to find a sign for the various words, and adding the element of mime makes it more pictorial, painting pictures in the air, sort of, enhances conceptualization so that the student can see the picture and grasp a better understanding of what the action is, who the person speaking is, and so on.
I was very interested in the way you encouraged the students to think more deeply about the ideas in a poem. Can you explain a little bit about your reference to the circles of meaning?
Really, I'm using that figure of speech instead of, quote, levels of meaning, but it means the same thing. I find it easier if I use circles of meaning, because I give them an idea of taking a pebble, dropping it in the wood, punk. You have first circle widens, and then another circle widens, and then the third circle widens. It's like in the poem by Robert the Frost, where, quote, stopping by woods on a snowy evening, And he has his horse over there. It's the darkest evening of the year. The snow is falling. But he's admiring nature, the beauty of the white snowflakes against the black trees. But his horse gives his bells a shake, as if to ask his master, is there some mistake stopping here? And it's getting darker and colder. And Frost realizes I have miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. He means on the first circle of meaning, duty before pleasure. Have to get away from this. But another wider meaning is, I still have to go a long way to live before I die and do many more things. So it's more like a symbol. It means more than the thing expressed as.
We talk about understanding and appreciation of poetry, the aesthetics of a poem. In the classroom, is there a balance that should be achieved between these two objectives?
Yes, understanding of the poem involves what most teachers do. They have the students read the poem, and then they say, now, what is the main idea? And then they ask them to write short answers in the class, probably to have the questions printed on the sheet along with the poem itself, and they expect short answers, as if that is all there is to appreciating and understanding the poem. But I don't think it should work that way. Get rid of the paperwork, let them do it out of class. Instead, teacher should present the poem first in a literal presentation. Second, if they can, some kind of sun mime presentation. Ask them for the main idea naturally, but gradually go into the aesthetics of the poem, which means appreciation of the sound effects, rhyme, rhythm, alliteration, or things like that. Appreciation of the visual effects. When they see a simile, this is compared with that, a metaphor, that compared with that, and so on. That is analyzing a poem. It may be called scientific method, but that is the only way you get to know something.
In previous workshops, more of the poetry of contemporary poets was used. Is there a reason for your choice of poems from the classic or modern literature?
It's my belief that when we talk about poetry, we're talking about great poetry. Poetry that takes a hold of your imagination. Poetry that is still ringing in your ears, quote, so to speak, even the deaf can imagine sound effects. Poetry that appeals to all of your senses, that leaves you with a strong impression long after you have left school, and you like to refer to it again and again. Quote, has a special quality to it, like great paintings, great works of sculpture and art. To me, those are enduring works by the masters, and you find them in anthologies all the time. Student goes to college, those are 80% of the poems that they will encounter. And it's always best if they've had some exposure to that before.
Yet the students' poetry patterns are usually in free verse. How do you help the students edit and improve their creative efforts? What changes do you help them make, if any?
Well, naturally, most of them work with free verse first. It's easier. The most important rule is get them to read more and more poetry. Models, we learn that way. Students learn that practicing baseball, practicing dancing, pursuing a hobby. You do it again and again and again, and you have models to follow. You begin to imitate some of the things. And you teach them, or sometimes to follow the shape of a particular poem. Might be easier for them to start with, like Japanese haiku form, or acrostics, or diamonds, something like that. But you encourage them to let ideas flow freely from mind. Put them down on paper and work on second and third and fourth draft, but gradually, while concomitantly, they are learning about poetry, the aesthetics. They learn about simile. They learn about alliteration. We encourage them to use some of that in what they are creating. And yes, I believe the final product, if it's still somewhat like an uncut diamond, the teacher has a duty to help them with the mechanics of English, to try to make it as, literate as possible. I believe in that.
I noticed that you used the term personification with the 7th graders. Are they really ready to use poetic terminology?
Why not? In fact, I believe they can start in the 5th grade. Remember, children who go into school start learning arithmetic in early grades. They learn words: add, subtract, divide, multiply. And they go to geography. Still in the 5th or 6th grade, they learn the meaning of the words latitude, longitude, equator, North Pole, South. And the same could apply to poetry. No reason why, step by step, teacher can start with, quote, simile. Make a comparison using the word as or like. Your teeth are as white as pearls. Your eyes are shiny like stars, and so on. If they go up step by step, by the time they reach what we call advanced grades, they'll really have a working terminology of poetic terms, what we call poetic devices, and I have a better understanding of the poem and appreciate the aesthetic aspect as well.
Well, Dr. Panara, what suggestions do you have for following up the excitement and enthusiasm generated by your residency with us? What can we do to sustain a continuing interest in poetry?
I would like to see students have what you might call a poetry page in their biannual newspaper or magazine. And the same with the school, the official quarterly, Western Pennsylvania Quarterly. Would be nice if they had a poetry page, and every time it's printed, select some of the best poems done by students. That would be nice too.
Thank you, Dr. Panara, and you too, Diana. You will find more of the students' poems, and Dr. Panara's as well, in the manual which accompanies the videotape. For WPSD high school students and teachers, the presence of a deaf poet in the classroom, a role model for us all, has expanded and heightened awareness of poetry's potential for enriching our lives.